What's happening, YouTube? It's your boy JD Trades, and I'm bringing you this week's market outlook. Okay, so we're going to talk about this week's targets and what I'm looking for the rest of this week and what my weekly targets are come this Monday morning. So let's have a look at the economic calendar. For the time being, we do have Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow. Wednesday, we've got the interest rate decision for New Zealand dollar. We've got Powell testifying again, and then we've got crude oil inventories on Wednesday later or late afternoon, should I say. Thursday, we've got GDP for the pound, manufacturing production, monthly GDP for the pound, also German CPI for the euro and for the dollar as well. So very, very big data coming out for the dollar uh, later stages of the week with initial jobless claims. Okay, next up is Friday. We've got PPI for the dollar. So what it does look like to me is the week is going to start hotting up from Wednesday. Okay, now ideally, when we are looking at the charts and we're looking at what the dollar has done so far in terms of this month, okay, we can see we had a massive engulfing candle there on the weekly. Okay, so we had a very big weekly range towards the later stages of last week, which is perfectly fine. Now, this was the target for last week, this weekly imbalance here. So now that we've reached this area, the next question is, are we going to now test the imbalance and keep pushing down lower? Now, there's a few kind of pictures at the moment, right? Now, from this low point to this high point, we are still bullish on the weekly time frame. Okay, so this was the lower high, lower low, then we made a high high. Okay, if I go to the daily picture, it might be a little bit clearer for you to see. Okay, we push down. So from that weekly swing perspective, price can reject anywhere inside this area. Now, what price is currently doing is telling me that there's a chance that we are going to keep pushing to the downside. Now, this isn't great, of course. Ideally, we do want to see a pullback and continuation, but the pullback that we had for the dollar was very, very aggressive. Now, on the flip side of things, when we come to look at the DXY on the daily perspective, okay, we've actually broken a lot of daily higher lows, which means we are bearish on the daily time frame. So at least for the time being, both pictures on the weekly and on the daily is pointing towards a bullish dollar, at least to start off the week, where we may potentially get a continuation to the downside. So early doors this week, we may potentially get some strength in the dollar. And then come potentially Thursday, looking at my economic calendar, where we have the CPI data to come out, maybe that is the time when price is going to give us, or the dollar is going to give us some bearish price action. All right, next up is USD JPY. So as you can see, we had a very nice play out of this 1 hour candle here last week. Okay, which wasn't too bad. Okay, it was a pretty decent move if I say so myself. We had price come down, it's made a new low. So let's see what USD JPY wants to do for the rest of this week, or realistically for the rest of today. Now, it does look like price can reach lower into this daily imbalance inside of here and take out these equal lows here. That does look likely for USD JPY. There really is no immediate setup for this pair just for now. We'll have to come back to this at a later date. All right, next up is GBP USD. Okay, so cable. Looking at this weekly picture here, okay, the one thing that screams to me is, boy, this weekly picture looks incredibly bullish, and this high here on the weekly looks like a very, very clean target for price to run to, right? Incredibly clean. Now, the reason why I say this, of course, we had that push to the upside, we had a retracement, we've worked inside of that weekly imbalance, and we've now rallied. Now, with this, well, with last week's candle, look at how massive the candle is, and it's majority a body of the candle, so it's engulfed all of these price action from prior weeks. Now, this is telling me that we may potentially get a slight pullback on the weekly, okay? So forming the low of the week to then, of course, push through this weekly high. Then we can, anticipate this potential high over here as well. So, yes, evidently this is going to be, depending majority on the dollar and exactly what the dollar wants to do for the rest of this week. But this does look very probable. And, in terms of the pullback, what I'd like to see is us actually take out Thursday's low on the daily time frame. Okay, so this is Thursday's low. Maybe potentially work inside of this daily imbalance before we get that continuation. That would be, you know, the most ideal picture. Now, of course, as we all know, it doesn't have to give us that. It doesn't have to give us that kind of play. Okay, but I do want to see us kind of retrace and reach. Okay, lower. We do have a trickle. You know, all this price action here is just trickling, 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 trickling. Okay, we've got loads of Asia session lows. Okay, so for example here, that haven't been taken. So this would be a pretty good area to take first before we continue rallying to the upside. Okay, for Euro USD, okay, we are still inside of that daily play. I did tell you guys about this daily play on Thursday and Friday last week in terms of this daily high of 12th of June being taken out first before we actually start to see a pullback. Now we're seeing Euro USD and GBP USD's picture start to line up a little bit better in terms of this current play on the daily for us to potentially push up higher if the dollar permits us to do so. So a very similar picture, just looking for that pullback down to take out all of this slow, low liquidity to the downside. Liquidity that's been left behind by price for us to keep pushing. Okay, next up is going to be on gold as usual. Okay, so in terms of gold, we are coming down this morning. Okay, if you go to the 15 minute, if you go to the 5 minute, we've had some pretty decent plays. We had a pullback here into this 15-minute candle early doors. This is not something that we would have definitely been able to partake in just due to the fact that it is very, very early doors this morning. However, if you were staying alive, you'd be able to get into some of these moves to the downside. But for gold, it is retracing, it is pulling back, unlike most of the majors. So in terms of gold, the fact that we have taken out this high here on the daily, you know, the liquidity has been grabbed, so getting a short move, you know, is expected. Now, in terms of gold, we do have the first area, which is the high of this daily candle, which is 2362.61. Okay, this is the first area to look for some potential longs from. Just due to the fact that the daily picture is bullish, the weekly picture for gold is now bullish as well also. So looking for higher prices on gold ideally, just due to the fact that, you know, the shorts that we were looking for last week, which was solely dependent on this high being intact, now that it has been invalidated, we need to look for higher prices. Okay, now we are still inside of an area, you know, when we look at this daily imbalance here. Okay, this is a good area to look for some shorts from. How far down the shorts wants to go, I cannot say just yet. Okay, especially for weeks where we have the likes of CPI data coming out for the dollar is highly technical, so we will definitely have to see how price progresses for the rest of the week. Other than that, that's all from me. I will come back next week and, well, not next week, tomorrow, and talk to you guys about Bitcoin and exactly what price is doing for Bitcoin. But other than that, always remember the theory behind the practice. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, a like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that post notification to get notified whenever I post a new video. And as always, remember the theory behind the practice, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.